The Detroit Auto Show is one of the big car mogul extravaganzas with sexy girls, I think, but you say not
really,
so,
no,
not so. Oh.
no.
Car big shots for sure, and automotive journalists for sure, are all on the guest list. Jeremy Cato is an automotive journalist, a columnist, and TV host. It is my pleasure to welcome Jeremy Cato back to Studio 4 to tell us more. No fishnet stockings at the Detroit Auto Show?
Well, no fishnet, but you know, a couple of the high-end brands, the Maserati, Ferrari, that sort of thing, they have some pretty hot models standing around. But you know, the auto industry is being directed by the regulators now. The government has completely taken over the products that you see in your showroom, and part of that is political correctness. I mean, you know, you just don't sell sex appeal anymore. You can see that in
powerful women driving
right.
Maseratis.
If you go to the Moscow Auto Show, or you go to the Delhi Auto Show,
which just is on or finishing.
Yeah, I mean, some of the emerging markets, those auto shows still understand that part of the appeal of any vehicle is the freedom and the sex appeal of it all. But we've pretty much stripped that out, and young people today, if you look at the research on this, are less and less interested in their own personal mobility, owning a car, than they are in texting, which seems to me to be a tragedy. But you know, I'm 53 years old,
and you can't drive and text. You know that, but it's true. Maybe kids are more interested today, rather than being under the car fixing it, which would be difficult to do, being in the car playing with all the gadgets, because they almost have television in the cars
now. I mean,
now.
that's very interesting you mentioned that. I mean, it gives me a couple of thoughts. One is that Chevy showed a couple of concepts in Detroit, and one of them was very much aimed at the emerging youth market, and it had none of its own true electronic gizmos and gadgets in the vehicle. It simply had a docking station for your smartphone. And what we're going to see emerge in the auto industry over the next decade is that a lot of cars, especially at the lower end of the market, say $20,000 or less, are going to be stripped out of all those electronic gizmos and gadgets, and they will simply have there'll be an interface place for it, for you to put your smartphone. And if you talk to, I have a 17-year-old, soon an 18-year-old going off to university, who, by the way, I did lend the money to buy his own little pickup truck, and he has learned how to work on it. And once he found the freedom of mobility, buses had no more appeal to Sam Cato. Anyway, what I wanted to say is
Sam is not a bone shaker guy.
Well, I mean, you know, he's got a little $800 pickup.
What do my kids call it? The bone crusher, the bone shaker?
Oh, yeah.
You taking the bone shaker downtown, Mom? I go, yes.
The bone shaker, and plus, you got to have a lot of free time to use public transit because it takes a lot longer to get around. But that's a different topic. What I will say is that these concepts, one of them had a docking station for a smartphone, and I was talking to Clay Dean, who's head of design at Cadillac and for their advanced prototypes at General Motors. His point was that, look, a car that we build today as a concept is 2 years away from being in the market. It's going to have at least a 10 to 12 year driving life. Any technology we equip that car with today is going to be so outdated in 10 years that we need to find ways to design cars that can stay current with emerging technology. And if you look at smartphones, I mean, they change like your underwear. I mean, every couple of years.
And everybody wants the new one.
Well, I'm hoping you don't change your
I change my underwear every day, not every couple of years. Speak for yourself.
That was a little bit, yeah. I think I kind of missed that one.
That's okay.
Yeah. But they change frequently. And so the idea is you dock your smartphone, and that's your interface for your phone, for your Bluetooth connectivity, for all your music. I mean, all the kids today, I mean, by kids, I mean basically anybody under 25.
Right.
You know, their music's on their phone. Their life is in their phone.
A lot of my music's on my phone.
Yeah.
Even me.
Okay, well, you're a kid at heart anyway, Fanny. I mean, you've got that energy.
But I'm not exactly high-tech, Sally.
And you do change your underwear
But I can download the
years.
Beatles.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Okay, in my Mercedes-Benz. Perhaps that AMG Roadster, that's pricey.
Well, the SLS, you know, I think it's $213,000. I mean, this is a very fast, very powerful, very sexy.
Very beautiful.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the coupe version of this has actually got gull wing doors, which are the ones that lift up like gull wings, you know.
Yes.
And you know, these are very specialty cars, and we're seeing fewer and fewer of these cars in the affordable snack bracket, okay? I mean, very few people out there can afford to spend $200,000 plus on a car. This is a dream car, it's a fun car, it's a brand builder for Mercedes, but something more affordable might be a Mustang Boss 302. Okay. Now that goes back to more like our age group.
Right.
Right? You remember
Ford
69?
Mustang Boss?
Boss 302, there you go, it's right there in that lime green.
Those girls are cute.
They're cute, but they're not wearing fishnet stockings.
No, that's true.
you know, you remember
How much
69
horsepower in that little puppy?
444. It's got a V8, you know, well, you remember the old days when things were in cubic inches? 302 is 302 cubic inches, which translates into a 5-liter V8 now. And do you remember Steve McQueen in Bullitt?
Yes.
I think he was driving a Boss 302 in that movie. So that's the heritage that this car is kind of playing on, is that, Mustang is an iconic brand with Ford. It'll never go away. The challenge for Ford Motor Company, in this age of smartphones and government regulation, how do you keep a car with that heritage current? I mean, how do you keep it
and
make it
hot
resonate?
and macho and fast and all of that.
Great line I do want to throw out about that. That engine sounds so wonderful, and my colleague Dan Neal, who writes for the Wall Street Journal, had a great line in his column when he reviewed it. He said, when you downshift and the throttle blips, it sounds like a phlegmy Amy Winehouse who just ran the 100-yard dash. I mean, that is such a great image. That's good writing.
That is a great image.
Yeah.
That's good writing.
The late
And
Amy
Winehouse was one fine singer.
And I loved her music, and
Me too.
it's
That's
a tragedy.
a tragedy.
It really was.
A concept car, Acura.
Yes.
Is that affordable? Is that
ILX.
doable?
Yeah. You're talking about ILX. I mean, I've written about this for the Globe
Beautiful.
and for CTV.
Good lines.
This is based underneath all of that is the new Honda Civic, but obviously it doesn't look anything like the Honda Civic. And basically what you're looking at is the start of the reinvention of the Acura brand, especially on the car side. Acura right now in Canada and the US is a sport utility brand. Acura MDX, RDX. In Detroit, what we saw was a concept version of the NSX Super Sports car, and we saw the ILX and we saw the new IDX. The ILX you just saw there, that will go on sale in the spring. I would anticipate around $22,000, and it will be pretty fuel efficient. It'll be quite a different divergence for Acura, and the hope is that the brand will grow into something more desirable. Acura sales were down in double digits in Canada and the United States last year. They need cars. They need cars that people want to buy, and the dealers are screaming.
Okay.
So
leather interiors, all of that, all the bells and whistles inside if you want.
But all of that for under $27,000, $28,000. And that hints at another trend that we can talk about.
Sure, still not quite a Maserati.
Well, I mean, you know,
Not
if you're going to get the GTC, Continental GT, or the GTC, I mean, what they showed us in Detroit was the V8 version of a car that's up to now been sold with a 12-cylinder engine, a W12 engine. The V8 version is only 500 horsepower versus 630, 640. And, you know, it's a very, I guess the thing to remember here is that this is a good example of using the parts bin of the Volkswagen group, because the engine that's in that Bentley is basically the same engine that's in the Audi R8. And
Am I supposed to know that?
Well, I'm
Guess
telling
I
you.
do now.
That's why you call me in here to tell you
exactly.
this stuff.
So the engine in the Bentley, same engine in the Audi?
Audi R8. It's modified. This is twin turbo. If you buy an Audi R8 or some other vehicles in the Audi line, it's a 4.2 liter. That's a 4-liter twin turbo. But basically, what the Volkswagen Group can do, and this is why Volkswagen is on track to become the biggest automaker in the world.
Right.
10 brands, 11 brands, 10 brands, including Porsche, which they're absorbing into the Volkswagen Group. And they can share parts of all the things you don't actually see and touch. The design, the interiors, some interior parts will be shared, but not a lot. And what you can do is you can take an engine from an Audi, you know, that's a high-performance V8 engine in Audi vehicles, and put it in a Bentley.
So who in the Volkswagen Group, which car, probably the Jetta, don't know, are keeping up with the Kias and the Hyundais? Because they have some very hot little Kias and Hyundais for like 17, 20 grand.
Right. Well, if you're in Europe, then you have Seat and Skoda. Those are both also owned. So Seat is the Spanish brand that the Volkswagen Group owns, and Skoda is from the Czech Republic. And you know, if you watch the World Hockey Championships, you see that Skoda is a huge supporter of hockey, and you'll see all their badges all over the place. But Volkswagen is all around the world in its various brands as well. So, for example, Bentley. We were talking about Bentley.
Yes.
Well, in China, China is going to be, this year, is likely to emerge as Bentley's biggest market, bigger than the United States.
I hear they're doing quite well over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, China's the biggest car market in the world.
May take us over, I hear.
Well, or at least buy us out.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a wonderful...
The giant's no longer sleeping.
No.
We know that.
Although the economy is slowing, and you know, the parts of economic growth, I mean, cars, the desire for personal transportation, that comes with economic growth.
Sure.
The more you have, the more you want freedoms.
But you must have seen signs of greening at the Detroit show.
Oh, sure. I mean, we saw things like the Buick Encore, which is a small sport utility vehicle. It's smaller than some of like the Audi Q5 or the BMW X3. It's a class below that. And underneath that, and it's a pretty nice looking vehicle. In fact, that shot doesn't quite do justice to the whole look of the thing. I like the front end of it and everything, but it's a very small SUV. It will be sold in China because Buick is a bigger brand in China than it is in North America. But this again is aimed at that youth buyer who wants a more fuel-efficient vehicle, and the fuel efficiency, of course, is mandated by government fuel economy regulations.
Sure.
So that has a 1.4-liter turbo engine in it.
Will they bring back the 3 holes in the side fender? Wasn't that a Buick?
Yeah, well, you see them in some vehicles. Lacrosse has got, right now, it's got some of that. Yeah, the little vents there. And so we're seeing the Buick lineup, which is emerging, I think, it's a sleeper brand at General Motors, and there's a lot of potential. It is becoming a very legitimate competitor to Lexus, from the Toyota's luxury
So the concept Lexus car, that was interesting. The hybrid car.
Yeah,
we got 30
you
seconds.
You got the LFLC. Look, this is you're going to see some version of this coming into a Lexus showroom probably in about 3 years. But this is what Lexus wants to do with the overall design of his vehicles. So think of pieces of that showing up in all the Lexus cars in the next 3 years.
It almost looks Ferrari-like.
It's a hybrid. There's an electric motor at each wheel.
Really?
Yeah.
On each wheel?
On each wheel.
Well, who knew?
Yeah, well, it gives you 4-wheel drive. It distributes the weight better, lower center of gravity, more dynamic balance to it, and of course, it's a fuel economy story and a green story.
And coming to a showroom near you one day.
Well, one day, yeah. But the look you see in that picture will be in a showroom this fall.
Reflected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'll be reading you in the newspaper, in the Globe and Mail. Jeremy Cato, our guest, automotive journalist extraordinaire. Remember, you can catch all of our conversations on YouTube or follow us on Twitter at Fanny Studio 4.